Yo, what is up? Welcome to Ninja Geek Games and Tabletop Grudge Match, where I select two games closely related by theme, mechanics or genre that go head to head where only one can be deemed victorious. In this video, I'm pretty sure I'm going to divide the tabletop community as I look to answer the age-old question, which is better, Azul or Sagrada? Let's get it on. So, in the red corner, we have Azul from Michael Kiesling, and in the blue corner, Sagrada by Daryl Andrews and Adrian Adamescu. Both are abstract games with a puzzle element that requires some form of pattern building and drafting of components. In Azul, you'll be taking coloured tiles from a supply to your player board in order to decorate walls of the royal palace. But in Sagrada, you are crafting glass-stained windows of cathedrals using dice of different colours. As mentioned, both games use a drafting mechanic with some subtle differences. In Azul, players will be taking tiles from a factory area containing a number of circular displays dependent on player count, each containing 4 tiles pulled randomly from a bag. You select a display, take all tiles of the same colour to your player board, with any remaining tiles put into a central floor area. The next player then gets a choice of tiles from the display or the floor area, and this continues until all tiles have been taken, so players can have multiple turns in a round. In Sagrada, you instead pull dice of different colours from a bag, again the number dependent on player count, and roll them, as both die value and colour are important. Players then take turns selecting one dice until each player has drafted 2. Now, this drafting mechanic is an important part of both games, followed by how tiles and die are placed on the player boards, and these boards are very unique for each game. In Sagrada, they represent a beautifully illustrated window frame with an empty grid area that you can slide window pattern cards into, so right off the bat you've immediately got a different setup for each game. This window pattern has 3 areas to place dice, where white spaces contain any dice regardless of colour or value, grey spaces can have die of any colour but must match the pip value shown, and all other areas must have a matching die of the same colour regardless of value. In Azul, the player boards represent the palace walls to be decorated, and any collected tiles are placed into a line pattern area, also with specific requirements. All tiles collected in a turn must be placed on one line only, and you cannot mix tiles of different colours on any one line. Now, whereas Sagrada has one phase of drafting and placing dice, Azul has a second phase of moving tiles to a wall area. If you complete a row of same coloured tiles, you simply move one of them to the matching area in the same row on the wall. So far, both games seem pretty simplistic, but this is actually outweighed by planning ahead to avoid penalties affecting your score. In Sagrada, you are not allowed to place dice adjacent to each other if they show the same value or colour, meaning you could end up with empty spaces in your window area at the end of the game. Whereas in Azul, if you have too many tiles of a colour to place in the line area, the excess tile is placed on the floor of your player board, giving negative points. Therefore, both games require you to think carefully about drafting and placement. One of the main differences between the games is scoring. Victory points are scored continuously on your player board in Azul through placing of tiles onto your wall area, depending on the number of previously placed tiles forming columns or rows adjacent to the new tile. This means that everyone has eyes on other players' scores throughout the game. Also, Azul has an endgame condition where you always feel you could have done a bit more work but someone has beaten you to the punch, and includes an additional score phase based on the pattern of tiles at the end of the game. In Sagrada, no points are awarded during rounds. Instead, each game has randomly selected public objective cards that each player works towards for endgame scoring, as well as secret ones that no one else knows about, and the game ends after 10 rounds. Sagrada has an additional mechanic where players get to use tool cards to bend rules of the game, and again the cards available will likely change with each game. What's cool here is that the number of uses of these cards will depend on the difficulty of the window card selected at setup. Overall, I think Sagrada has the better game components. Azul's are nice, but the quality and artwork is far superior for Sagrada in my opinion. I like how the penalties are awarded differently in each game, as you really have to think about placement, but at times it just can't be helped. Also, the fact you have an idea of other players' score in Azul means you could take sought after tiles if clever enough. Now, which one do I prefer? Although I'll happily play both games, if given a choice of the two, it's Sagrada every time. I love the components, especially the player boards, which are awesome, and due to the different window cards, tools, and scoring objectives that are used for each game, the replay value is far greater than Azul, and having extra options for dice colour and value just adds a little bit more depth to the game. However, Azul does have a variant module using the reverse side of the player boards, adding a different level of complexity, which is nice, but Sagrada also allows solo play, trying to beat a random score created during play. Please let me know in the comments whether you agree or if you think Azul should be crowned as the favourite. Thanks for watching. This is Ninja Geek Games. Cheers.